Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the next episode of Model Mondays. My name's Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor, joining you from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters and hosts to answer live. Our session is being recorded and will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our host for today. Thanks for joining.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I am so excited to be here. I am fresh from vacation and I am happy to be joining today for our second to last episode of Model Mondays. We have some pretty exciting topics that we're diving into today. We're going to kick things off, however, with our weekly spotlight. But in terms of our topic for today, we're going to be looking at models and observability. And we also have a really interesting customer story from our friends at Safer. But joining me later will be Han, in which we'll be going through a demo to show some of the features that we have under our observability umbrella. But with that said, get my things going. I'm curious to know where folks are chiming in from. I'm hanging out in the chat as well. I know Lee is there too. I see some familiar faces. Ravi, I'm happy to see you as always. Throughout the stream, if you do have any questions, feel free to place them in the chat. We have folks who are here to answer your questions as well. I do see we have Jose from Brazil. Welcome from Brazil. San Diego, of course, as mentioned, which is where Ravi is from. I am in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles, California as well. Okay, so I know we're ready to dive in. So let's see what we have going on today. I'm going to kick things off with our weekly highlights from Sharmila. So I came back to work and saw we had a lot of things that happened while I was away. And so I'm actually pretty excited to dive into what's new and what's happening within this past week and what may have landed that's new within models and Foundry. So with that said, let's kick things off with our weekly highlights video.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weekly Highlights on Model Mondays. As usual, we have 5 highlights to share today, and every highlight has a QR code which takes you either to a model card, a blog, or just a GitHub repo. Feel free to take a screenshot of the QR code and explore those other assets. Let's dive in. First, I just want to let you know that Azure AI Foundry just dropped GPT real time, now GA, and ready to rock your voice experiences. Think lifelike voices, better instruction following, and higher audio fidelity, and smoother function calling, all wrapped in an S2S model that even handles image context through voice. And it's priced 20% below the previous GPT 4.0 version. This isn't just talking, it's expressive, responsive, and ready to power the future of voice apps. The next highlight is around Translation API. The new Azure AI Translation API, now in public preview, lets you pick between fast, low latency NMT or rich, nuanced LLM-powered translations on each request. When I said NMT, that was neural machine translation. So do you need tone, gender, or style adoption? Then you can choose LLM. Want speedy chat localization? Then you can pick NMT. It's real-time flexibility with Azure's trusted tooling, powering multilingual workflows your way. Moving on, another this is not a new product, a new launch. It's just I wanted to quickly talk to you about some of the upgrades that are happening to Azure AI Foundry agents. um, you can now build agents that remember and act autonomously towards goals, use memory, tool up, and even collaborate with other agents. There are templates, a learning path, and deep fine tuning options, SFT, RFT, TPO, to make them smarter and aligned. It's intelligent AI that actually gets stuff done, and there are a lot of updates happening to Azure AI Foundry agents pretty much every week. So you should continue to keep checking it out, even if it didn't work for some reason for your purpose in the past. It the new updates and upgrades should maybe will work for you now. And now, moving on to a highlight from Foundry Labs, say hello to CalcLM, an open source wizard in AI that can take your natural language math questions and return clean executable Python with MATLAB charts if you want. Built by the community in Azure AI Labs, it's like having a math savvy coworker who not only understands your equations but turns them into visual code you can run immediately. Real time formulas, real time plotted results. Finally, we've been talking about Agent Factory, our multi-part blog series that kind of dives into different aspects of building your agent workflows. And we dropped another blog on observability in Agent AI. So you can now track, trace, evaluate, govern, use leaderboards for model choice, bake in evaluation pipelines, automate red teaming, and monitor agents live with dashboards and alerts. With built-in Foundry tools like the SRE agent, Purview integration, and CI/CD pipelines, you're building with confidence, not hoping nothing breaks. So it's not like leave it to someone to figure it out, but rather we have the tools in Foundry to let you put all the right observability metrics in place before sending your apps to production. And that wraps our weekly Model Monday highlights. Thank you all and see you next week.
All right, there was a lot happening in terms of highlights. Speech is having a really big moment in terms of all the new features that we have available. There's one in particular that just crossed my screen yesterday, and I'm going to drop a link to it in the chat. However, there's an article from Xinhua in which we shared the latest avatar updates. We now have 4K support as well as emotion control features. So if you're doing any level of work with avatars and AI, or if you've been thinking about exploring it, check out this link that I just dropped in the chat. It's quite a long link. It might not send it. You know what? Let me give it to our folks here on our side. And if someone can drop this link, it'll land there just shortly for you all. But this is another feature that we have available in terms of our updates around speech. Okay, so I see we have some more folks who have chimed in and tuned in, and we're going to make sure we keep the party going. So with that said, let's see who else we have here. We have Vancouver. We also have Mexico, Wisconsin, New Jersey, Dallas, Qatar, Chile, Angola, Mexico. We have Columbus, Georgia. We have quite the worldwide attendance today, so I'm super excited to see you all here. I see India as well. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and continuing on with our observability trend as well, because Sharmila did point out Agent Factory. We have some observability best practices in there. And lucky for us all today, we also have a demo with respect to some of our observability features that we have available. Joining me today for our weekly spotlight that we're going to dive into is going to be Han She. And I'm super excited to have Han here. Han, how are you?
Hi, April. Yeah, I'm good. By the way, I'm in Vancouver as well, and Vancouver has a good weather today, so I'm really happy and also very excited to be here to share what I know about observability.
Oh, perfect. Thanks for joining us. And so at Microsoft, as the screen shows, Senior PM within Core AI. What does your role entail around observability?
Yeah. So observability might sound a little complicated to like some of the folks, but you can consider that as a set of tools to actually continuously monitor and improve your agent development across the whole life cycle. So it includes like tracing, evaluations, monitoring, dashboard, governance, and this set of tools can help you from different perspectives. And I guarantee that after this stream today, everyone will have a much better understanding on what observability is.
All right, great. I think this is one of the most important topics, I would say, when you're doing anything with generative AI, especially with agents, because we often see agents do a lot of cool things, but how do we know that they're safe? How do we know they're responding the way that that we intend for them to respond and behave? And I think what's great is that your team, you're building these tools that are going to enable developers to ensure that we have the right guardrails in place, to ensure that we're able to monitor the agents that we're all building. So with that said, I'm going to turn over into our demo that you have for us, and then we'll bring you right back on screen. All right.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to walk through the end-to-end set of observability capabilities that we provide in the Azure AI Foundry. Then I will do a short demo. To kick things off, I want to frame things in the context of why observability is important. When you are building AI systems, managing AI quality, performance, and safety are absolutely critical. You want to keep monitoring the agent. From there, you want to quickly root cause issues so that you can figure out what's going on and fix it. And of course, you are probably interested in getting insights in how you can optimize your AI application with actionable suggestions. So we have a bunch of capabilities that we provide and help you to enable balance, impact to quality, safety, and cost. We also hook into development workflows, including CI/CD pipelines, so that as you transition to code, you can evaluate your agents, you can trace to debug, you can do everything that you need to do so that you can iterate with confidence. And then once you get to production, you can operate and monitor your AI agents. Now, this is an end-to-end overview on the different stages of the development lifecycle. When you start, you create a new agent. You are in the planning and prototyping stage. You want to move quickly at this point. You want to get immediate insight into how my agent is performing. Is it doing what it's supposed to do? And then as you transition to code, you want to take all of everything that you have done with you so that you can keep going and continue to iterate in code and take your AI system to production. And then once it is in production, you want to monitor the agent and continuously optimize along the way, like mitigating issues and improving the agent. And then, of course, having governance capabilities, guardrails, policies in place to make sure that your agent is compliant is also super important. Next, I will get started with just walking through some of the highlighted features in brief, and then do a demo with more details. When you start to build a new agent, we provide a leaderboard that enables you to select the best model. From there, you can go to the playground and chat with model, which gives you real-time evaluation result that can help you transition from prototype to development. And to achieve that, we also offer a bunch of evaluators covering different categories, including quality, risk, and safety. Several of these are fairly new ones that we recently added, such as ungrounded attributes and code vulnerability. Agent-specific evaluators are also a new category that we recently added, which evaluate how your agent is performing. So for example, intent resolution helps you determine whether or not the agent is responding as intended. And tool call accuracy helps you measure whether or not an agent called the tool that it was supposed to call. And then, of course, we also support customer evaluators that includes both prompt-based and code-based evaluators. So as you can see, you have a bunch of different options to create your evaluator set. And then you can run evaluations in like both Foundry portal or using our SDK. Another feature that I'm not going to show in the demo is governance. So one thing that we announced at Build is the partnerships with Cradle AI and Sidot. These are two AI governance platforms. So if you have a need to figure out policy mapping for your specific AI use case, Cradle AI and Sidot can help you understand how you need to evaluate your AI system, and then you can archive evaluation results as evidence in those partner systems. So that's a good way for managing governance. Another feature is AI red teaming agent. This is something that we also launched prior to Build, and it's essentially a vulnerability scan. So the red teaming agent can attack your agent with different attack strategies, and then to help you identify safety and security vulnerabilities. So this is also a really great way to make sure that your AI system is safe and secure. And now let's move to the demo part. So let's start with playing with some of the agents here. So this one is the one that I just created called Customer Support V1. And as you can see that I choose GPT-4 Mini as the model, and I gave him some of the instructions like your agent that helps customers get help with questions on travel planning. So basically this is a travel planning agent. And I want it to use the knowledge to help you answer the question. So the knowledge here I refers to this, that I uploaded some Seattle to Vancouver travel information as one of the knowledge sources. Okay, so let's click on at the top right so we can try it in Playground. So here you can see this is a chat mode that you can chat with it. So let's say, okay, help me plan a trip from Seattle to Vancouver. And in a few seconds, we will get the response. And you can see that it provides like quite some overview on considerations and suggestions. And here that I want to show you that for each response, we also provide real-time metrics such as time to completion, one token breakdown on input tokens and output tokens, and some AI quality scores and safety risk metrics. So these metrics is configurable here. So you can select like all of them if you want, or if you feel that the risk and safety is actually good, that you don't need to do that, you can also decheck that. Okay, so maybe let's continue to chat with him. So I would say, I prefer travel by air. So what is the recommended flight? And yeah, it also gave me the response very quickly. And one thing I want you to notice is that when I asked something about the related flight, it actually used the tools. So here you can see the agent used the following tools, and you can also see the details by clicking View Run Information. So here is a detailed view on what the agent really does to respond to your question. So here you can see that for this run, it actually called the tools and use the file search using and to search within the source that I provided, and then respond with the message. So this is also very useful when you want to investigate and debug for any input and output. And we also provide the metadata and the individual evaluation run for each evaluator. Okay, so let's say now we are basically satisfied with the instructions, and now I want to test it with more data set and at scale. So what should I do next? So one thing that we provide is the evaluation. So both in Foundry portal and in our CI/CD pipelines. So in this demo, I will introduce how we want to run the evaluation in our CI/CD pipelines. So we provide two extensions. So one is the Azure AI Evaluation GitHub action, where the users who wants to run pipeline in their GitHub repo. And also another one is the AI Agent Evaluation Azure DevOps extension for users who host their repo in the Azure DevOps. So we'll just use this as an example. So let's say now you have like a sample code to compare two agents. So once you download and install the AI agent evaluation extension, you can specify it in your YAML file here. So as you can see, the task called AI agent evaluation version 2. And there are 4 required inputs when you want to compare and evaluate the two agents. So the first one is the Azure AI project endpoint, where you can get it from the overview page. So here, you can just copy paste. It's very quick. The second one is the deployment name, refers to the model you want to use in this evaluation. The third one is the agent ID. So remember, when you create an agent, you will find the agent ID attached to each agent here. So you can also copy paste and paste in here. The last one is the data path. So this is a data set you should actually prepare beforehand, and the data set will be used in this evaluation. So here we also provide one. So as you can see, the data set includes both the evaluators and the data that we want to test. Okay, so now everything is configured, and what you need to do is to trigger a pipeline run for it. So basically usually the job will take about like 10 to 15 minutes, depending on how many evaluators you include and the size of the data set. And once the job is done, you will see a new tab called AI Agent Evaluation here. And it will actually show you the evaluation comparison result. So there are different sections of this report. So the first section is the agent variance, where you can see the brief on the agent name, agent ID, and a link to the evaluation result to each agent. So here it will bring you to the Foundry portal, where you can see the detailed evaluation result. The second part is the evaluation scores and the comparison between these agents. So actually you can select up to more than 2. So it can actually we have 3, 4 is even possible. And it's just like the first you put in the YAML file as a baseline, and the rest will compare against it. And here I want you to notice is that we provide out-of-box operational metrics, which means like the client run durations, complete tokens. These operational metrics will be automatically calculated every time that this evaluation is triggered. We also include the AI quality scores, which you specify in your data set. And also you can see here we include, we actually introduce statistical analysis. So you can see that some of the metrics is actually improved, degraded, or inconclusive compared to the baseline. And we also provide a color code for you to easily differentiate that. So that's like a quick example of enable offline evaluation in your CI/CD pipeline. The last part I want to demo is the monitoring dashboard. So after you deploy your agent to the production, you want to continue to monitor your agents. That is where you will do in the monitoring dashboard. So we have resource usage dashboard, we have application analytics, so that you can continue to monitor. Like for example, the resource usage, you can filter by model deployment, and we provide the input output token usage, number of requests, latency metrics, and we also provide the same set of evaluators and operational metrics in the application analytics. And one thing to notice is that if you want to get a more detailed breakdown on the cost, you can also click this. It is a deep link that will direct you to the Azure portal, where it will provide you more information about the cost breakdown. Okay, I think that this is all I want to demo, and hope this help you to have a better understanding on how observability works end to end. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this demo, Han. I really appreciate it. I've done a bit of diving into observability over the past year, and it's really great to see how far everything has come over just the year, you know?
Yeah.
We had a question that I did see get answered in the chat, but I am going to bring it back up. If you could just very briefly touch upon it. There was a question from Green World that had inquired if it was possible to implement, I'm assuming, evaluations locally or like on your local machines.
Yes. So we do prefer, we actually offer the Azure AI Evaluation SDK, so it can support both like locally or in the cloud. So yeah, so you can maybe see the detailed guidance on what like Lee provided in the chat, but basically, yeah, it supports, you could do the evaluation locally.
All right, perfect. And as a reminder, everyone, we will be having our AMA this Friday in the Discord. Han and myself will be there live to answer all of your questions around observability. So do please join. Han, thank you so much for joining us today and for your demo. I will see you on Friday.
Sure. Thank you. Looking forward on Friday.
Yay. All right. So moving on, just a couple things I just want to call out before we get into our customer stories. As a heads up, AI tour registration is open. So if you are considering going or want to learn more, make sure you scan this QR code that I have here on the screen, or you can also visit aitour.microsoft.com. In addition to that, Ignite registration is also open. Likewise, please scan the QR code that we have here on the screen. You can also learn more by going to ignite.microsoft.com. And just before we introduce our customers' stories, I do want to call out that for the news that Sharmila shares during the weekly spotlight, we do have a video series that complements it called Inside Azure AI Foundry. And so I do encourage you all to check out that video series. It's featuring me, yours truly, in which I dive a little deeper into different features that we have in Foundry. And it's more of a guided walkthrough of how to actually use those features in your own products. Since observability is pretty big this week, I can probably say you can suspect a observability video coming very soon. So without further ado, we're going to head into our final segment for today, which is our customer stories. And joining us from Safer today will be Brett Trainer. Brett, how are you?
Hey, April. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing all right. Pretty excited to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit more about Safer?
Sure. Yeah, would love to. I think people say this as a cliche, but Han, certainly a tough act to follow there. Very well done. So let me give you just a couple minutes about Safer. So Safer is incubated within Fidelity Investments, and I'm hoping a lot of the folks in the audience know who and what Fidelity Investments is. But as you can imagine, like a really large and diverse financial institution, Fidelity Investments has what's called Fidelity Labs, and that's where we incubate new businesses, AI businesses, SaaS businesses, agent-related businesses. It's basically an in-house venture studio arm. And so Safer was built really, to help alleviate the challenge that organizations in regulated industries have, call it like financial services as one of the large regulated industries, when it comes to producing compliant content. And so when I say compliant content, that can be in written form, right, through text, audio, video. When you think about regulated industries and financial services organizations, if they're creating a newsletter or a thought leadership piece or a new product announcement, the current state of reviewing those to make sure that you're not getting in trouble with any of the regulators, the current state is really challenging because it's marketing, it's people that are creating the content and material, it's legal, it's compliance, all involved in reviewing that material to make sure that nothing goes out the door that can get you on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. So we've utilized and built a set of models and agents that help to basically act as like a word, like a spell check, but for compliant content. It will identify where there might be non-compliant language, and then it will make suggestive language as to how to make that language more compliant. So that's really what we're after and what we're working on, April. And we feel really good about the position that we're in because we are part of Fidelity and we were incubated here. And we have a set of proprietary models that were built on decades of compliance and regulatory info to really help companies speed up their review process when it comes to compliant content. So that's a little bit about it. I think I said a minute, but certainly that was much more than a minute.
No, that's fine. And I would say when I took a look at the models that you have available, and we'll take a look soon in the demo, I was definitely floored. I was like, oh my goodness, this is definitely what's needed when you're putting out content. As someone like myself who does a lot of content creation, especially on behalf of like a company like Microsoft, we want to make sure that we're saying things that won't get us in trouble in the long run, especially when we talk about AI. But for the industries that you mentioned, like in finance, for example, you don't want to just make exaggerated claims. You definitely want to stay safe. And I think the models that you all have provided does provide that next level of guardrails to make sure that before anything goes out there, it's been vetted, it's in alignment with any particular guidelines. And so I'm not going to get too far ahead of the demo. So I'm going to go ahead and switch gears and let's check out the demo. And then we'll bring you back, Brett, for some questions from our viewers today. So thank you.
Great.
Happy Model Mondays. I'm Brett Traynor, Head of Partnerships for Safer, a RegTech company within Fidelity Labs of Fidelity Investments. In the next few minutes, I'm looking to answer the question, how can developers and organizations in financial services make their AI agents more compliant by utilizing Safer? After that, I'll hand things off to my CTO, Jono, to provide a detailed demo of our models and agents. Now let's quickly look and talk about the dynamics at play. We are in a dynamic and pivotal moment when it comes to AI. Things are moving rapidly. There's no playbook for us to follow. I think we collectively in real time are actually developing that playbook. Along with that, organizations have varying levels of appetite for how quickly, broadly, and deeply they deploy AI. And I think this is especially true in regulated industries such as financial services, and I think for good reason. To hit this point home a bit more, it's estimated that over 70% of GenAI related projects are not making it into production, with two of the top reasons for that including lack of compliance guardrails and the need to show clear ROI. Now, incubated within Fidelity Labs, Safer utilizes proprietary and public data, robust AI technology, and human expertise to act as a true unlock for applicable AI projects, agents, and models in regulated industries. So as you think about how and where to use Safer, the versatility of our domain-aware guardrails is immense, with use cases across sales and marketing, contact centers, compliance, and broadly with AI agents and copilots. Put simply, any agent that generates content, be it text, images, videos, and financial services, that is where Safer can act as a guardrail, boosting productivity by 70 to 90% on those use cases, and getting content to market 10 times faster with confidence. And now over to my friend and CTO, Jono, for a deeper dive into our models and agents that are currently on Azure AI Foundry and soon to be Microsoft Marketplace.
Hi, I'm in the Azure AI Foundry Agents Playground for the Safer Communications Compliant agent. This agent will take a paragraph of text and it will convert it into more compliant, fair and balanced version, helping end users better adhere to relevant regulatory guidelines. Let's kick that off. So what it's going to do in the background, it's actually going to use two tools that we've set up. These two tools are defined by OpenAPI 3 specifications, which wrap then models that we've deployed into AI Foundry. So we have two models deployed into AI Foundry, and these are them here. Let's see what happens. So this is the potentially non-compliant sentences paragraph. This is what it comes back with. So these are much more balanced. So I can take a look at the view run information. I can see that the first call went to this tool, which is the OpenAPI 3 spec, and it comes up with 3 sentences that are non-compliant. The whole 3 sentences are non-compliant. Then it tries suggested compliance, then suggested compliance, suggested compliance, comes back with a suggested sentence, puts it all together, and this is what we get at the end. By the Safer Communication Compliance agent, if you remember, we were using 2 actions which are essentially agentic tools defined by OpenAPI 3.0 specification. Now we deployed those 2 models from the Azure AI Foundry. So let's go and take a look and see if we can find these models and find out information about them, and we look at the endpoints. So here's Safer has 4 models we deployed last year into the Azure AI Foundry model catalog. So the 2 we're interested in is retail marketing compliance and language suggestion. Retail marketing compliance is a model for financial services. Financial regulations safeguard investors and maintain the health of capital markets. So if you provide a paragraph of text that we want to get checked, the model will indicate what sentences are non-compliant and then why they're non-compliant based on a category of permissive, misleading, exaggerated, or unwarranted. So when we deploy this model, we get a REST endpoint that we can use. We can send it, as you can see here, we send in the request. This is a paragraph of text, and a risk level, low, medium, or high, depending on what risk level you're looking for. And the findings you get basically will be a number of sentences coming back, and those sentences will be low, medium, or high risk level, and permissive, exaggerated, unwarranted, or misleading. So that's one model, retail marketing compliance. Let's hop over and we take a look at language suggestions. So for each one of those that we get back, we want to go each one of the non-compliant sentences we get back, the potential non-compliant sentences, we go to the safer language suggestion. Now the safer language suggestion is great because once it's a sentence has been flagged as potentially non-compliant, it'll recommend an alternative sentence for consideration. Essentially, we want to be able to rewrite the sentence to provide a more compliant, fair and balanced version, helping the users adhere to relevant regulatory guidelines. Okay. Similarly, we have an endpoint here. I've deployed it, and we have an endpoint here where I give it the non-compliant sentence, and we get back an output sentences, but in this case, we're actually only getting 1 sentence, which suggests a more compliant, balanced sentence. Okay, so there's the 2 endpoints, right? There's the 2 models. I've deployed them here. Here's the 2 models deployed. If you take a look at language suggestion, you'll see that it has an inferencing endpoint. Here it is. And really importantly, I deployed it on an A100. And really importantly, it has this Swagger URI. So every time you deploy a model from the Azure AI Foundry, it'll automatically give you a Swagger URI, i.e. OpenAPI specification 3.0. And that's what we used to create that agent in agents. We used that to create the agent. So that's really important. Okay, so it's already built for you. So that's really easy to do. Let's go and take a look in Insomnium to see what that looks like. So here's the suggested language service OpenAPI 3.3.3.0 specification. So there are endpoints like liveliness, readiness, the predict, which is our score endpoint, and the responses. So in this case, we're sending off the request, which is here. We're sending off a sentence, as you know from the model card, and the response is both an input sentence, so we get the reference one back, and the second thing we get back is an array of sentences, and specifically there's only one in that. Okay, so now let's go and let's see what it looks like. Let's do a request. So I'm going to send off this non-compliant sentence. I know this is non-compliant, and it comes back and it suggests this as being a more compliant, balanced sentence. Let's try another one. Let's try another one, see what it comes up with. And so this endpoint is running. Our goal is to strive for success and growth. Okay, cool. And let's try another one. Our goal is to help you manage your investments effectively. Okay, so these are all more balanced sentences than this non-compliant one. Okay, so that's really cool. So we have an endpoint. It's controlled by it's described in Open API specification. And let's take a look at the other. Let's look at the other endpoint. The other endpoint was retail marketing compliance. So in this case, I'm going to send off a paragraph of sentences. There's actually there's a few in there, and then I'm going to see what the response is. And why is it taking so long? Hello. Whoops, daisy. Sorry, okay, I'll do that again. Let's hit that again. Okay, so this paragraph here came up with 4 sentences it didn't like, and I lost it. 4 findings. So first one is risk level high, a medium, a high, and a low. So we've got low, medium, high. We've got all 3. And then this is promissory, this is misleading, this is misleading, and this is exaggerated. So our model is returning the sentences that it doesn't like and the reasons why we don't like them. So that is also defined by this endpoint here. And retail marketing compliance. It has a Swagger endpoint that we use to create the agent. And that's pretty much it. That's all we needed to do. I'll stop.
All right, really great demo. Thanks to Jono, of course, and then also thank you, Brett, as well for sharing with us more just the need of why someone would want to use the models and the agents that Safer provides. And so we do have a comment from Jose that I'm going to bring to the screen that says Safer, powerful AI agents to safeguard against compliance risk, which is always great to hear.
Yeah,
so,
thank you, Jose. The check's in the mail. We appreciate it.
Gotta love it. So I know before we did the demo, I briefly had mentioned 2 of the industries in which we can definitely see the models that are available to really have a really great impact. I know finance, for example. What are some of the other industries in which you feel using these models would definitely play a big role?
Yeah, so I'd say without getting too far over my skis, right? Think about any highly regulated industry. So health and pharma, telecom. Now, what I'll say though, April, is that those types of things maybe are on the roadmap to varying degrees. But at this point, our bread and butter and really what we're focused on is building out capabilities to drive value to organizations within financial services.
Okay. All right. I was hoping we get a sneak peek exclusive. No.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say is if someone, like say if there's someone in the audience that has a very specific question related to another regulated industry outside of financial services, I would love to have a more direct conversation with them. But obviously, it's amazing we have such a wide audience, but I want to be thoughtful in what I communicate here. It's almost like I have a Safer model running in my brain right now to make sure that I'm being appropriate and compliant and not too promissory, but would love, virtual doors always open to have those types of conversations.
Yes, absolutely. I was about to say the model's in your head, Brett.
That's right.
So we do have a question from Osama in the chat. And the question is, did you all train your models on Azure AI Foundry?
So this is where we have Mike Goulding, and I don't know if the Microsoft team or April, if you're able to pull Mike into the
I think we
conversation as
can.
well. Yeah, so he's Mike is a principal software engineer who is much closer to like how we built the models and all the technical aspects here. So I'll need a little bit of grace, and it looks like we do have Mike on. So Mike, are you able to answer the question that April just raised?
Yeah, thanks, Brett. It's great to be here and to listen to some very interesting presentations. So no, the models are not trained in AI Foundry. They're trained in our own instances within Fidelity, within Safer.
All right. Thank you very much for answering that question, Michael. And just to add on to that by chance, so the models that are available on Foundry, will they have different versions or iterations of them as time goes on? So like right now, let's say the models that are on there is like a V1. Will there ever be like a V2 or a V3?
So yes, we're constantly improving our models. So yes, there will be iterations of releases where we release new models. Yes.
All right, perfect. And for those who are curious, you can find that information on the model card within Foundry if you're looking within the model catalog. And that's where you'll know which version of the model that you're using. We'll see if anyone else has any more questions. Definitely feel free to drop them into the chat. So a question that I have for you all. So in the examples that we've seen, would you say that you would more so pair this model in, let's say like I have an agent that's creating content for a company, and would you use this model, one of these models at the point of, let's say I'm asking an agent, generate content for social media posts using the example Jono said about Bitcoin, right? And how our services can help with that. So would you more so say this is something if we have some sort of automation that creates content that we would then use that model in that workflow before it generates its final output for content? Or do you see this more so being used as a human? This is what I want to say, but now let me double check with the model to see if it's compliant before we publish something. Or is it more so you would see used in like both sort of like use cases?
Yeah. I'll give you the politically correct answer is like
Okay.
the models have flexibility to be used really in any sort of use case where there's content created or communication happening that you want to make sure is compliant. But the way that we do think about our models and our agents that we're building, April, is we like to view them as a proactive compliance guardrail rather than something that's reactive. Like once a risk goes outside of your walls, how do you then mitigate against it? We don't want to be in that business.
Right.
We want to make sure that we're proactively upfront, as far up in your work stream as you can possibly plug in Safer. That's where generally we would recommend you introducing our capabilities.
All right, perfect. And we did have one question. I'll let you answer it anyway on screen, but Osama wanted to know, are the models available on Foundry?
Yes. Yeah. So we have a number of models that Safer has. What we've put so far in Azure AI Foundry is there's 4 different models. The names, maybe they're not relevant, but one is called Retail Compliance Risk, Compliance Suggested Language, Compliance Risk Explanation, and then Non-Compliant Image Detection. And so basically what the current models are able to do is they take communication or content, identify where you might have non-compliant language. They basically tell you what regulation that might pop because of that. And then they also suggest language as to how you might be able to make that more compliant. And again, I would be remiss if I didn't say, April, that the Safer capabilities, our models and our agents are across not just written language, right? So it's not just text, it's image, it's audio, it's video. So there's a lot of different applicability of what we're able to do. And so happy to chat more kind of directly or certainly through any other Microsoft kind of engagement or enablement sessions that you might have.
All right. Yeah, there's some great multimodal models. It's good to know that we go just beyond text for sure. We do have one more question from Claudio, and that question is, what data was used to train the model for compliance?
Yeah, this is what I'll have to phone a friend again with Mike, and I see you there, Mike. So hopefully you're ready to answer that one.
Yeah, so thanks, Brett. Pass me on all the easy ones. So Fidelity data and data that has been curated by Fidelity experts was used to train these models.
All right. Thank you very much for that. And I know we're just over time because I was having so much fun on today's stream. But with that said, everyone on the screen, we have a QR code that you can scan to learn more about Safer. And we also have a link to the website if you want to learn more as well by going to safer.ai. Brett, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today for Model Mondays. Any final words, though, before I let you both go?
Yeah, I just say thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. Would love to hear from anyone in the audience that wants to learn more about Safer and the really amazing capabilities that we're building out.
All right. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. All right. So with that said, we are coming to a close on today. And I know we've had questions in the chat. I know Jose asked earlier, was this the final episode? What's going on? No, we have one more bonus episode for you all. Next week, we are going to do our final episode of this season of Model Mondays, and it's going to be focused on open source models. We have Jeff, VP of Product with Hugging Face, joining us, and it's going to be hosted by Nitya. And so please do tune in. This will be hosted or happening at the same time that we've been doing all of our live streams this season for Model Mondays. And then as a reminder, Friday, we will be doing the AMA in the Discord with Han. Please bring your observability questions for Han. We'll both be joining live to answer those questions for you. And then finally, again, as a heads up, you can watch the upcoming episodes or tune in to the upcoming episode by scanning the QR code that we have here for watching live. This is also, you'll be able to access the prior episodes that are available on demand, just in case you want to tune in to what we discussed in the past. The AMA is this Friday. If you haven't joined the Discord, what are you waiting for? It's where we're hanging out, answering your questions about all things Azure AI Foundry. And then also, as mentioned, we have the recaps for any of the past episodes. They're going to be available in the forum. So that final QR code is what you can scan there. With that said, thank you all for tuning in today. I definitely appreciate it. And I look forward to seeing you all on Friday in the AMA with Han. I hope that you enjoyed the rest of your Monday. Take care.
Thank you all for joining, and thank you to our speakers. This session is a part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. We'll see you at the next one.